Round and About with Glyn Thomas, Mary Martin and Brian Hawkins.
Right, you are tuned to Round and About. It's your community magazine programme coming to you from Seven Waves Community Radio on 87.7 live across the Wirral. And this morning now we say a very good morning to Stephen O'Connor, who's a local hypnotherapist. Hello,
Good morning,
Steve.
Glyn.
Hiya. Now this is a very interesting subject. We had all sorts of people as you came in this morning when you were initially chatting to me about the subject, and in the time you've been waiting to come into the studio here, you've had a flurry of people very interested in talking to you about different subjects.
That's right, Glyn. Yeah, I've been hijacked, I think.
You've been hijacked, yeah. It's fascinating, isn't it? So can you tell us first of all how you became involved in hypnosis and hypnotherapy?
Most certainly, yeah. I was saying before, obviously I was in the Air Force for 10 years, and I was working in various areas of the world. And I noticed that when we were coming back from these sort of quite stressful areas, certain people handled it in different ways. There were some of us who came back and were quite happy with what had happened, and there were other people who came back and obviously just couldn't cope with the things they'd seen and things that had happened. And although we'd all experienced the same thing, we'd perceived it in different ways. And that got me interested in psychology, which I started studying as a hobby. I then eventually left the Air Force and started to work in sales. And after a while in sales, I realised that I was selling people things that they didn't really need for money that they didn't really have. So I began to look how you could sort of use this influence to help people in other ways. I came across basically the oldest hypnotherapy association in Europe, which is the British Association of Therapeutic Hypnotists, of which I'm a member, and they run a lot of structured courses on hypnosis. I undertook one of these courses, learned basically how to use hypnosis in a therapeutic context to help people overcome various problems, and it's all history from there really. Here I am, and that's what I do.
Well, talking about history, I mean, do you know how long ago hypnosis has been used in societies?
Most definitely. Hypnosis can be traced back to about 1500 BC to the Egyptians. They had what they call sleep temples. There's a very famous one at Thebes in Egypt, where they would get people into a trance state and they would give them therapeutic suggestion and sometimes keep them in that trance state for over three days while they accessed their god who was going to cure them of whatever ills they had. There was evidence of this discovered in the 1920s when a thing called the Eber Papyrus was found, which detailed the medical procedures that were used by the Egyptians. This then carried on and was adopted by the Romans and the Greeks, and came to prominence in sort of a medical context in the 1800s when a Scotsman called James Braid basically took away all the mysticism and the occult nature of what people perceived it was. He came up with the actual word hypnosis from the Greek goddess sleep, hypnos, and from there it was basically taken on by the likes of Sigmund Freud and other psychotherapists, and most recently a hypnotherapist called Milton Erickson in the 70s, and of course the name we all know, Paul McKenna, who now is a very accomplished life coach and hypnotherapist. And it is basically from those sort of early beginnings in Egyptian times that we've now come to use it in a more scientific way, in a way that sort of ties in with modern psychology.
I actually tried to ask you before to explain to us, or to explain to me, what state of mind hypnosis actually is. And you said the word hypnos is something to do with sleep, which is what you said it is. It is actually a sort of part way between awake and sleep, isn't it?
That's right. It's the midway point between wakefulness and sleep, really. If anybody sees stage hypnotists, they will always use the word sleep as they click the fingers, and that is because people have come to associate sleep with hypnotic state. However, when you are asleep, you're unaware of what is going on around you. In hypnosis, with it being that midway point, that sort of floaty state that you're in on a Sunday morning when you're having a lie in bed, you're actually aware of what is going on around you, and you're able to take in therapeutic suggestion, and able to respond and basically to listen to your own body as well, and to respond to the signals that your own body's giving you, and to take on suggestions that are given you that can help you overcome any addictions or compulsions that you may have.
And you often hear this theory that you can't force people to do something against their will under hypnosis. Is that true?
It is. You can't force anybody to do anything that they wouldn't normally do. Everybody has a moral code contained within the subconscious, which contains your limitations, your boundaries of what you're actually capable of, what you perceive to be right in the world. if I was to give you a suggestion that contradicted your own moral code, then one or two things would happen. You would completely ignore it. Your subconscious will throw that back out, or you'd just open your eyes and come straight out of the hypnotic state.
So you'd sort of be shocked into a awakened state.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating, that. Now, I mean, just going back to that hypnotist you were talking about, Paul McKenna,
That's right.
there was actually a case, wasn't there, we talked about that before as well, where somebody tried to take him to court for something, a condition that they ended up with. Was it schizophrenia or something? And,
yeah.
And it was proved to be...
It was proved to be hogwash, basically. All the medical studies that have been done have proved that there's no adverse effects of hypnotherapy or hypnosis if it's conducted properly by a qualified hypnotherapist. As it is a totally natural state, you are in control of yourself, like I say, so there is no way that what I could tell you could make you do anything which would violate not only your moral code, but also your own health.
Excellent. So talking about health now, I mean, and the fact that it's a therapy that you actually do for people, what can you do for people? Smoking is an obvious one, isn't it? Helping people
Smoking is the one that these days we get the most phone calls about.
Yeah.
If you want to give up smoking, hypnotherapy will most definitely help you. As long as you follow the hypnotherapist's guidelines and instructions to the letter, you will give up smoking with hypnotherapy. There is no two ways about that. And as long as you want to do that. Weight loss is another popular one that people are coming to us because for years people have gone on various diets. There's now something like 125,000 different diets out there at the moment that you can go on, and it's a multi-million-pound business. I personally believe that diets focus on very negative aspects of giving up certain foods, giving up the things you like. Actually losing weight is a human behaviour issue rather than a nutritional issue. If you eat what you want when your body tells you to eat it, not when you just feel like eating or when it's become a habit or you're bored. If you eat when you need to eat and you listen to your body, which are the techniques which a hypnotherapist will teach you to do, then you will get to your ideal weight. You will not put on too much weight, you will not lose too much weight, and you will be, say, perfectly healthy within that sort of framework. Yeah.
And is there like a certain number of sessions that you'd have to do with people for instance, smoking and losing weight? What kind of time span are we talking about?
It varies with different people. Everybody responds to hypnosis in a very different way. Some people are very, very sceptical about it. Some people are very fearful about it, which is the first session I would spend with anybody would be explaining what hypnosis is, explaining that it is totally natural and they're not going to come to any harm, to allay the fears. So the sort of sessions usually for smoking, it can be a 1-2 hour session that I will sit down with somebody, we will tackle the issue of smoking, we'll tackle any underlying emotional issues that's driving the person to smoke, and we'll also make sure that we're not creating a hole in somebody's life that they're going to fill with eating or with drinking or with any other sort of compulsive behaviour.
Yeah.
With weight loss, it's usually a 3 to 4 session treatment that I do with people. Again, go along the same sort of lines, teach them to listen to the body, teaching them to actually eat when they're hungry and not to eat when you're not hungry. And with various other sort of therapies that we offer, anything from sort of personal problems, relationship issues, then that is all basically on an individual basis. We'll speak to the people, we'll find out what the underlying issues are, what they need to solve any issues in their life, and we'll take it from there. But it's usually between 3 and 5. Hypnotherapy is basically a form of psychotherapy in which hypnosis is used. Psychotherapy is very effective in dealing with any issues in your life. However, it can drag on for a long time, and people will spend a lot of money and a lot of the time on psychotherapy because what the psychotherapist is trying to do is trying to get past the conscious mind and find out what's going on in the subconscious mind, which contains all your emotions. Now, in hypnosis, we bypass the conscious mind. We send that off and keep that busy doing its own thing, and we speak directly to the subconscious mind. So we can generally have the same, if not better, results with that person in a shorter time frame, which saves them time, saves them money, and gets them living the life that they want to lead sooner.
Brilliant. And you're also saying that you can help people who are getting stressed out about things like driving tests and exams, can't you?
Most definitely.
Because I mean, obviously, exams are we haven't actually approached the exam time yet, but you might get people who are getting really stressed out about taking a degree course or something like that. And you can actually help them, so you calm them down before
That's right.
the test.
The human mind is not very good at coping with the negative aspects of life. It will it can't take in negation. And what happens there is, as I was saying to you before, if I say to all your listeners now, do not think of a black cat. The first picture everybody gets in the mind is a black cat, because in order not to think of it, you have to think of it. So if somebody is going in for various exams and they're constantly thinking, I don't want to fail this exam, I really don't want to fail this exam, the only thought that they've got in their mind is not on passing the exam, it's on the actual failure of that exam. So they need to think about it in a more positive way, and people can take this on right now as an aspect in their life. If they're thinking, there's an old book, The Power of Positive Thinking, and it is certainly true. If they think of the positive aspects of what they actually want to achieve rather than what they don't want to happen, they will find that things will come to them a lot easier, and they'll have a lot more success in their life. And that is the same with exams, and as we explained before, in sort of sports therapy as well.
I read a book some years back called "I'm Okay, You're Okay."
Yeah,
have you read that one?
I have.
That's
yes.
a fascinating book, that isn't it? It's down to negative thought and positive thought. Yeah, but just to explain to people, you don't still use the old wristwatch, do you? Swinging backwards and forwards.
No.
How do you do it then?
It's basically through talking to people. Hypnosis is a relaxed state, so we need to get people relaxed. I need to sit there and I need to put them in a situation where they can just relax every single muscle in the body, they can relax the mind, they can concentrate on the breathing. We take people from their external reality into their internal reality to actually take them inside. And it is basically just through talking to people. Again, the first thing I have to do when I meet a client is to establish a good rapport with that client. Because if that client sits down in front of me and suddenly takes a dislike to me, I cannot work with that client, because that client is not going to trust me and they're not going to listen to a word I say. So it is basically just through talking to people. It's through getting them to relax, and it's through, once we've got them relaxed, taking them deeper and deeper into the hypnotic state, to the actual level of hypnosis that is needed for the actual therapy that we're carrying out.
Brilliant. So if anybody's got a weight problem, or they smoke and they want to give up, how would they get in touch with you, Steve? What's your contact details?
Right, they can contact me by phone. It's a free phone number, and it is 0800 849 6057. That is available 24 hours a day, because believe it or not, we do have some people who phone up in an emergency, of what they class as an emergency. And they can contact me free on that number at any time of the day. I will speak to them on the phone. I'll find out actually what they want to achieve, and if they want to, I'll be able to meet up with them. And obviously the first half hour that I speak to somebody will cost them absolutely nothing, and we will go through their sort of goals, all their problems.
So whereabouts are you actually based?
Right, we're actually based in Bebington at the moment. Most of the work is done via visiting people in their own homes. If people aren't comfortable with actually meeting in their own homes, we do have various consultation rooms around in sort of holistic centres where they can actually come and see us.
Oh, brilliant.
And we discussed that, obviously, it's somewhere that was local to them.
Well, thanks for talking to us today. So that's
No problem,
Steve O'Connor. Give us your phone number again, Steve, just to give people a chance to write it down.
Okay, it's a free phone number. It is 0800 849 6057.
Okay, thank you, Stephen O'Connor. He's a local hypnotherapist, as you probably gathered.
Thanks, Lou.
And we discussed what record we could play, didn't we, Steve,
we did,
after
yes.
this? And we're going to go for this one now. Alan Price and I Put a Spell on You. Thanks, Steve.
Cheers.
I put a spell on you. Because you're mine. You better stop the things that you do. I ain't lying, no, I ain't blind. I just can't stand it, babe. The way you're always running around, I just can't stand it. The way you always put me down, I put a spell on you. Because you're mine. I put a spell on you. Because you're mine. You better stop the things that you do. Lord, no, I ain't lying. Said I ain't lying. I just can't stand it, babe. The way you always try to put me down, I just can't stand it. a spell on you. Because you're mine, because you're mine. I said I love you, I love you, I love you, oh baby how? And I don't care if you know what I mean. I said I'm yours right now. I put a spell on you. Because you're mine, I put a spell on you. I just can't stand the way I always gotta put me down. I put a spell on you. Oh, yeah.
And that's the Alan Price set. And I Put a Spell on You. And many thanks to Stephen O'Connor there, our local hypnotherapist, coming in to talk to us today.